there was a very quiet moment. It happened in the early mornings when the world was still not fully awake, and the light from the window was just enough to make the mirror visible. You stand in front of it. Habit, wash your face, brush your hair. Look at yourself as you do every day. But today, something was different. You look at the person in the mirror and suddenly, it doesn't look familiar anymore. Cheekbones no longer taut, eyes slightly sunken, mouth pursed out of an unlearned habit, probably to hold on to something once lost. Then you wonder not out loud, just a lingering silence inside. Who is looking back at me? Is that person me? Or just an aging shadow of the person I used to be? Is that person the subject of all the memories in my heart? Or is he just the remaining form after many transformations that I have not had time to name? You are not alone in that question. Many people after 50, 60 have stood still like that, in front of the mirror, in front of themselves. No crying, no talking, just a slight tremor, like a mask cracking without a sound. We call it old age. We call it slowing down. We call it coming to terms with ourselves. But really, deep beneath those names, there is a spiritual crisis going on, silently, persistently, and very alchemically. In alchemy, the journey of transformation never begins with light. It begins with a stage called Nigredo. Nigredo means black, not the black of death, but the black of decay. The old dissolves. The old image crumbles. The old roll falls off like scales from the back of an old snake. The ancient alchemists did not fear this stage. They understood that before gold can manifest, everything must dissolve. And you, standing before the silent mirror every morning, are entering your own Nigredo. The mirror no longer reflects youth. It reflects time. It reflects the layers of self that are cracking every day. It reflects your eyes after a long time looking closely and wonders how far you have gone from who you used to be. But right there, at the very point where you think you're losing yourself, is where you begin to meet your true soul again. Fulcanelli, who read the language of stone, once said that ancient churches were not places of worship, but places where the soul was reflected through symbols. As for me, I believe the mirror in your room is a small church. No statues, no candlelight, just you and your decaying image. But because it is broken, the truth has room to shine. You may have tried all kinds of creams, skin care, wrinkle removal, whitening. Maybe you avoid the camera, refuse to take pictures, or just choose a side angle, as if you're turning your back on yourself. But you know what? It's not the image in the mirror that hurts you. It's the memory of the person you see in it. And you can't let go, not because you're weak, but because you haven't been able to say goodbye. You have never been taught that letting go of an old image requires ritual. Just as the ancient alchemists had to perform a ritual before smelting the metal for the first time, they revered the process of dissolution because they knew it is not a loss, but a transformation. So do this gently tomorrow when you stand in front of the mirror. Don't look to see what's left of you. Look to see what's emerging from deep within that gaze. You are not gone. You are not exhausted. You are beginning a most sacred phase, melting away the social image to reveal the original soul. The mirror is no longer a place to fix appearances. It is a place to meet the forgotten light. Next time you look there, don't look for the old man. Quietly ask, who is forming in this gaze, because from that very question, the real journey begins. Not going back to youth, but going towards the true self, unbound, unadorned, unframed. Only light remains, and that light only appears when the mirror becomes still. There is a quiet truth that few people speak out loud after a certain age. The mirror is no longer for reflection, but for remembrance. It doesn't show you who you are today. It just silently reminds you of who you used to be. Every time you look in the mirror, you don't just see your face. You see your younger days. You see the person who used to smile brightly. You see the hair that used to be straight and black. You see the eyes that used to sparkle without doubt. You see a person gone. Not gone from the world, but gone from the image within you. The mirror does not speak, but you hear. You hear very clearly. Listen to the whisper of time. Remember when you still had pigtails? When I still wore white shirts to teach? The mirror is like an old letter written in light, sent from the past to the present. Cannot be read by the eyes, can only be read by the silent heartbeat. And so, every time you look in the mirror, you don't just look at your face. You look at the gap between who you used to be and who you are. That distance sometimes is as small as a wrinkle. Sometimes is as big as a lifetime. In Alchemy, the Nigredo stage is not just the dissolution of form, but also the resurgence of restless memories. The past is not dead. It lies hidden in reflections. It lives in every changed line. And then you touch your face. A simple gesture, but deep. As if you were trying to find the old you with your own hands today. You see the crow's feet at the corners of your eyes. You see the loss of elasticity in your skin. And then you sigh. Not because you're sorry, but because you didn't get to say hello. We don't usually say goodbye to our youth. It goes when we're busy. When we're busy raising children, working, racing with someone. And one day, it's just a shadow in the mirror. Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen yourself as your mother? As your father, a gentle reenactment that makes you shiver? That's when you understand. Mirrors not only remind you of your old friends, but also of the people you love. In every aging feature of yours, there is a remnant of collective memory. There is the face of the previous generation hidden under your skin. The mirror is not simple. It is a window of time. Fulcanelli once said, "When the image dissolves, the soul appears." And true alchemists do not use mirrors for beauty. They use mirrors as tools of introspection to read the map of memory, to observe the process of ego dissolution. Because only when we see ourselves decaying can we begin to capture the light that leaks through each crack. Every morning you look in the mirror and feel a little regret. Don't turn away. Stay a little longer. Listen to what's being evoked. Maybe a love, a look from years ago, an unclosed door, an unfulfilled dream. They are not things to be tormented about. They are living elements of the inner alchemy journey. In alchemy, to refine gold, one must return to the original nature of the raw element. And you, with all the nostalgia that arises when you look in the mirror, hold in your hands the key to your true self. Do not run away from what the mirror suggests. for it is they who are the first substance of your soul. If today you look in the mirror and your heart flutters, don't rush to wash your face to erase it. Let your heart beat. Let a small drop of water from the corner of your eye wet the image in the mirror. Because it is that drop of water that helps you see more clearly. Not to see the old person, but to see the true light wanting to return. The mirror is no longer a place to check appearances. It is a signpost for one who is entering into his or her deepest self. And you, right now, are beginning to see the faint lines appearing under that layer of memory. One afternoon, you open the bottom drawer, the one you haven't touched in a long time. Inside is a box of photos, old, yellow. The corners are curled as if trying to escape into the past. You open the lid, slowly, not because you're weak, but because you know there's more than just an image inside. There's a second mirror. You flip to the first photo. A young man, eyes full of fire. A girl with long hair, standing next to an old bicycle. A child with an unguarded smile. You look closely, and then you realize that person is you. But you don't recognize yourself. Maybe you remember that day. Maybe you don't. But the photo doesn't ask that. It just looks back at you, as if waiting for some kind of acknowledgement. You hold a few more. You see yourself at a wedding. You see yourself holding someone's hand. You see yourself with eyes that have never known sadness. Suddenly, your throat tightens, not because of loss, but because an old question comes back. Where did I go? Who was I, and am I still the same person now? In alchemy, there is a stage called separatio. Separation, isolation. Separating the mixed things to obtain the true essence. You are in that phase. The old photograph is a symbol of the part of you that once lived and is now being called back to decay. Not to hold on, but to separate what is real and what is just an image. Fulcanelli once said, "All forms will fade, but true light is ageless." You are no longer the person in the picture. You no longer have that figure. You no longer have that look in your eyes. You no longer walk the way you used to. But that essence is still here. It hasn't disappeared. It's just covered by layers of roles, responsibilities, pain. Today, when you look at that photo, don't just see yourself as you were. Look like an alchemist at raw ore for the gold in it. You lived fully. You loved unconditionally. You believed in the good. So that part of the light is still there and maybe intact. The old photo isn't for regret. It's a reminder that you never lost everything. You just forgot. Alchemy is not against time. Alchemy turns time inward. No need to be young again. Just meet again what you once believed. A person after 50 may have less hair, wrinkled skin, and a duller memory. But if their eyes still retain a drop of fire from old photos, they are still intact. You can try this. Next time you look at an old photo, put your hand over your heart. Silently ask yourself, what did the person in the photo dream about? Do I still have that dream within me? If it is still there, breathe out gently. If it is gone, close your eyes and ask for it to return. Because every image can become an elixir if you know how to look back, not with your eyes, but with your heart. The mirror reflects the present. The old photograph reflects the essence of what was. And between the two you stand, like an alchemist, swinging the light between past and present. You don't need to relive the memory. You just need to get the light from it. And when you learn to look at photos, not with regret, but with gratitude, you are refining your own soul. From dross to needle, from past to light. We don't need to be young again. We need to go back to who we were. And in every old photo, that person is still waiting for you to recognize the light that once was. You have gone away. Yes. But the light has not left you. It has only fallen asleep. Today, wake it up. From that second mirror, from that old photo, from the old eyes that you used to be, and still are. Have you ever looked closely at the wrinkles on your face, not to count them, not to sigh, not to think of a new anti-aging cream, but to read? Because if you sit with your own face, even if it's not as bright as it used to be, you'll realize that those wrinkles are talking. They are the silent language of the soul, engraved on the skin like ancient characters, not to scare you, but to remember that you have lived. Every line at the corner of your mouth is a trace of a smile gone by. Every line at the corner of your eye is a crow's foot from squinting in the sun, or from laughing too long with a loved one. And the deep lines between the eyebrows could be the result of sleepless nights, years of worry, times when you tried to shoulder the burden of the family without anyone knowing. You can't write a memoir with words because your body has already written it. In your skin, in your walk, in your voice, in your eyes, in alchemy. Every trace carries a message. No wear is meaningless. No oldness is unholy. Fulcanelli once stood for hours in front of a cracked relief, just to read the messages hidden in the broken stone, in the small indentation in the knee of a stone angel. He said, when the image begins to fall apart, the true language begins to emerge. And I believe it's your face, at its imperfection, that really begins to speak. We live in a world that measures aging by what we lose. Firmness, freshness, radiance of skin. But the alchemist doesn't see it that way. They don't see your face as fading. They see it as a map of the journey, from person to soul. They look at every crease in your forehead like an archaeologist looks at an ancient stone carving, knowing that there are things hidden there that no one else remembers but you. And you, when you dare to look closely at yourself, are not seeing an aging person. You are seeing a person emerging. You are returning to your true self. No shell, no mask, no makeup. Just the light filtered through the years. This stage, in alchemy, is when Nigredo begins to settle. It is no longer just disintegration, but the beginning of seeing clearly what remains. The pure, after all. If you dare to look at each wrinkle without avoiding it, you will see that it is not just skin, but a sacred trace of existence. You have loved. You have cared. You have been born and died. You have been a mother, a teacher, a keeper, a sacrifice, a let go, a silence, and no one has recorded it, except your face. The mirror doesn't lie. It just stays silent and waits for you to be deep enough to hear the language your face whispers every morning. You can try this tomorrow. When you look in the mirror, don't rush to put on cream. Don't rush to redraw your eyebrows. Just put your hand on a wrinkle and ask, where are you from? What do you write down that I need to remember? And let your heart answer. No words needed. Just a feeling. That's when the alchemy begins to work. Not out there, but in the very gaze between you and you. Every map to the soul passes through the real face. No editing, no hiding, no erasure. Only when you dare to look straight do you see clearly the light is not behind the stretched skin. It is in every fracture, and that light is calling you back. But have you ever noticed? There are mornings when you wash your face but don't look in the mirror. Not because I forgot, but because I didn't want to look. Hands still used to wiping face, back still turned to the mirror. Just a quick glance, then passed as if the person in there was someone else. Someone who no longer makes you want to look at them for long. No longer makes you proud. No longer evokes anything tangible except a nameless flicker of rejection. We don't often name this because it sounds too sad. But it's real. Very real. Avoidance, running away from one's own image. Fear of facing the present face. Afraid because it's so different. Afraid because it's no longer me. At least not what I once thought was me. And then we start to live in front of ourselves. Get used to the dim light of the night light. Get used to choosing an angle that doesn't reflect on the glass. Get used to avoiding family cameras. Take group photos with our faces turned to one side, or standing behind, or pretending to not like taking pictures anymore. But deep down, it's not because I don't like it. It's because I don't want to see the loss come to life. In Alchemy, this is the deepest step of Nigredo, where the soul can no longer cling to the form to identify itself, where the old self begins to fall apart piece by piece. Fulcanelli calls this stage dark night of the image, where the outer image no longer contains the real soul, and the alchemist, in that moment, must step back, be silent, sit in the darkness without hastily redefining himself, not to find a new me, but to learn to be with the disintegrating me. You are not wrong to fear mirrors. There is a reason for that fear. Because mirrors no longer reflect just skin. They reflect a changing identity. You were once a wife. You were once a husband. You were once loved, sought after. You were once someone's center. Now, the mirror only reflects you. No one else, no role, no gaze from others. And that is the real fear. It's not that I'm old. It's that I can't see myself the way I used to. No longer seeing value through appearance. No longer seeing identity through role. No longer knowing who to call yourself when there is no one to reflect it back to. Like the moon when there is no more sunlight to reflect. It is just a lonely rock. But it was then that the alchemist began to learn how to glow from within. Don't wait for the light outside. Don't need to be called by name. Just be present quietly and let that presence become the first light. So if you are afraid of the mirror, I don't advise you to look at it for long. I just invite you to sit close to it. Don't look. Just sit close. To feel your own presence next to the image you used to avoid. You will feel something very fragile, very small, but real. Part of you is quietly saying, I'm not gone. I'm just transforming. Stay, and if you stay long enough, one morning you'll look up and see the little light that's just come through the window touching your face. It's not bright, but enough to see your gaze, still warm, No need to be flashy. Just honest. No need to make anyone admire you. Just make you want to stay with yourself a little longer. That's when the fear begins to melt away. Not because you're beautiful again, but because you're brave enough to be present with yourself, whatever that image may be. And when you dare to stand still in front of the mirror, not to edit, not to cover up, but just to be present, you are no longer a mirror phobe. You are the alchemist looking straight at Nigredo and holding the fire waiting for the next light. There is something very strange. Not everyone realizes it. That sometimes what makes us feel strange when we look in the mirror is not the changed skin, not the gray hair, not the different body shape, but because no one calls my name like before. In the old days, when someone called out, "Mom, brother, sister, you're so beautiful. How are you today?" You knew who you were. The name comes with the eyes of others, with the role, with the meaning of existence. It makes you feel substantial, significant in someone's life. But now, when the children are grown, when the spouse is gone, when friends are less frequent than before, that name has also gradually faded away. Like the knock on the door no longer ringing every afternoon. Like the call no longer coming every Sunday morning. And then, the mirror became silent. It is no longer a reflection of life. It is a silent plane where you see yourself, but no longer hear anyone calling. In alchemy, this is the point of deepest withdrawal. The stage where the soul is withdrawn from external identification in preparation for receiving the true light from within. Fulcanelli once wrote, "The soul enters a state of sacred silence when no name can contain it." You are there. No more affectionate names. No more looks of validation. No more invitations, compliments, or praise. But no name does not mean no self. It simply means now. You are in a place where it is just you and your true light. No reflection from anyone else. No need to be illuminated from the outside. Just be present, like a small, dim light in a room where no one else enters. And the mirror, at this moment, is no longer a tool for verifying form. It becomes a symbol of pure existence. When you look there and no one calls your name, try calling yourself by a new name. Not a legal name, not a social role, but a sacred name you want to give your soul. You can whisper the fire keeper, the one who walks through the long night, the one who is turning gold. No need for anyone else to confirm. Just call yourself back. Because the truth is, the soul doesn't need a name, but it needs to be touched by consciousness. If today you look in the mirror and feel empty, don't turn away. Just let it be. Don't try to define it. Don't try to find the old shape. Just whisper, "I am still here." Whether others are here or gone, even if my role has been silenced, I am still me. I am learning to be present without being seen. Did you know that in ancient rituals, when a person is about to enter the highest stage of their spiritual journey, they are stripped of all titles? No one calls their name during the transformation. No one touches them. No one looks at them with the same eyes, because they are entering the spirit realm where only the light is present in its original form. You are in that ritual, silent, alone, but valuable. And the mute mirror, in its silence, does not reject you. It only invites you to let go of the last shell to touch the nameless light. Tomorrow, when you look in the mirror, don't look for a name. Don't wait for someone else's voice. Just smile softly at yourself. That smile needs no proof, no makeup, no validation. It is the greeting of a soul returning to its essence, beyond name, beyond phase, beyond reflection. Only presence remains. There is one thing that few people talk about, because almost everyone has forgotten that the mirror was more than just a reflective surface. It was once a door. Not a door to go out, but a door to go in. When we were young, we looked in the mirror to edit our image. We fixed our hair. We chose our clothes. We painted our lips. We shaped our best selves before stepping out into the world. But when you have gone through more than half of your life, you begin to realize the mirror is no longer a place to look out at yourself. It is a place to look into. Look at not the figure, but the look. The feeling present in your own eyes. Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and stopped not because you were checking your appearance, but because a look in the mirror made your heart sink? A look that feels familiar and yet strange. It seems to say something without words, just with its quiet presence. That's when the mirror is no longer a mirror. It is a door. In the ancient Hermetic tradition, mirrors were called speculum, not just for reflection, but as mystical tools, where alchemists meditated to get in touch with their souls. Alchemists do not look into mirrors to see themselves. They look into mirrors to disappear from the image and encounter formless light. Fulcanelli writes of the mirror as a dynamic symbol. The image in the mirror is never fixed because the soul never stops. The mirror holds no one back. It only opens one way for us to enter ourselves. If you are entering the age where wrinkles can no longer be hidden, and the light outside can no longer help you hide your fatigue, then try looking at the mirror as a speculum, a door of meditation, a quiet surface for you to see something deeper than the image. No more am I old, am I still beautiful, does my face look sad, but rather, what light do I still have left inside? Sit still. Look in the mirror. Don't judge. Don't try to change anything. Just look. See the light behind the eyes, the emotion behind the expression, the soul behind the skin. You can try this every morning before looking in the mirror. Place your right hand over your heart. Stand still for 3 breaths. Then gently look into your eyes, not the face, not the features, just the center of the eyes. No need to say anything. No need to think anything. Just be present, because this stage of yours is no longer for physical correction, but for soul touching. When you no longer go through the mirror to go out and live for others, but start going into the mirror to return to yourself. The true alchemical journey begins. You no longer use the mirror to prepare to meet the world. You use it to meet yourself. He has gone through countless brokennesses. He has witnessed himself changing over the years. He has learned to be silent and still shine. He is standing at the threshold between the old image and the soul that wants to speak. The mirror now is no longer a surface to look at. It is a still lake, reflecting your very existence. No need for validation, no need for seeing. Just you, present with yourself in that gaze, and miraculously, when you look deeply enough, the image in the mirror begins to dissolve slightly, not disappear, just blur, giving way to a sense of presence. Then light, then a nameless peace. You are not growing old. You are being led home, through the silent door that everyone has in their home. A mirror, a moment still enough, a look without fear, and a soul ripe enough to no longer hide. There comes a time when you stand in front of a mirror long enough, and the lighting in the room is just right, not too bright, not too dark. You'll see this. Your face begins to blur. No more lines, no more wrinkles, no more knowing if you're smiling or not, only light from the eyes. At first, you may be confused. Are your eyes failing? Is the mirror foggy? Is the light playing tricks on you? But if you are calm enough and do not rush to leave, you will realize the mirror no longer reflects the face, because the soul is gradually taking shape, just like in alchemy. After the Nigredo disintegration and albedo illumination stages, there comes a time when all forms completely disintegrate, leaving only the essence. Fulcanelli once described that state as a light appearance no longer associated with any image. That light is the soul that has escaped the physical face. We grow up believing that mirrors are places to see ourselves. But the truth is, your face in the mirror is just the ultimate mask of your soul. And when life takes you through twists and turns, through pain, through emptiness, through loneliness, the mirror no longer gives you you. It only gives you light. The light is not in the corner of the eye, not in the bridge of the nose, not in the cheekbone. It lies in the center of the gaze, a light of its own, not bright, not noticeable, but once it appears, it makes all other shapes unnecessary. You used to be that face, used to wear makeup, used to keep your hair in place, used to create the perfect smile to look good. Now, just stand there. No makeup, no definition, no wanting to look like anyone else. Just look and let the light in your eyes speak for you. For when the image fades, a new word begins to speak from the soul. Like the alchemists of old, after years of refining, when the mixture began to glow red, rubido, they knew it was no longer matter. It was spirit. Here's what you can do when you're standing in front of a mirror. Dim the lights. Let a soft light shine on one side of your face. Then look into my eyes. Not too close. Not too close. Wait and see. The face fades, but the light begins to appear. That feeling is very strange. It is both peaceful and fragile, and makes you breathe lightly as if afraid of waking something that is sleeping deeply. It is no longer the you of yesterday, nor is it the you of old. It is the person who is stepping out of every role, every definition, every memory. No one can name that light. It does not belong to age. It does not belong to appearance. It is the living testament of a soul that has been calm enough to overcome itself. And there you are. No witnesses needed. No cameras needed. No affirmation needed. Just one understanding look. Your own. For yourself. For the best alchemists do not seek gold in the dirt. They seek light in the ashes. not looking for youth. They look for ageless self. And you? After all those times looking in the mirror to see that you are no longer the same. Today you can stand in front of the mirror and see something more real than your face. A light through darkness, washed by tears, broken and reborn by silence. A light that no one else sees, but you know it is the part of you that never dies. There is a mirror, very special, not hung on the wall, not in the bathroom, not used every morning to fix hair or put on lipstick. It's the last mirror. The mirror you look in when you're about to leave an image of who you used to be. Not because you're dying. You don't have to wait until you leave this life to call it goodbye. There are deeper, more silent separations, more inner. That is when you leave behind a part of yourself that you have lived with for decades. The woman who was once loved, the man who was once the breadwinner, the man who was busy with children, with work, with fame, the man who was the center of others' eyes. Now, you are left with only yourself. No reflection, no title, no one calling. And you stand in front of the mirror, not to see yourself, but to greet yourself. The last mirror is a silent farewell ceremony. No flowers, no candles, no soft music, just soft light and a heart that knows how to let go. In Alchemy, this is the moment of transition into the final stage, Rebirth. Rebirth red, not of blood, but the final ripe red light when the soul is no longer bound to form and begins to glow from within. Fulcanelli writes, before the soul ascends. The alchemist looks back at the concoction he has refined, not with regret, but with gratitude for what it once was. And you are looking back at yourself with the same eyes. No more wanting to fix it. No more wanting to go back. No more wanting to fight against time. Just want to stay one more moment with the face that has accompanied me through so many years. You'll put your hand on your cheek. It might feel strange, because the first time you touch your face, it's not to smooth it, not to examine the wrinkles, not to judge. Just a loving touch, like touching an old friend. You can smile, but not the kind of smile that looks good. The gentle smile of someone who has been through a storm and still has a little spark in their eyes. Because you know, tomorrow there may not be anyone who looks at you as long as you used to. No one who says you look young today. No more compliments, no more calls, no more reflections from the outside world. But at that moment, the light began to grow from within. The mirror now no longer reflects anything. It is silent, like a door has just opened for you to step out of the old image. No need for songs of joy. No need for farewell. Just enough presence in one last look to thank and let go. The alchemist, before leaving the furnace, would open the last jar again, smell, touch, and whisper, thank you for being. Now become what you must be. You too used to be, used to live, used to play a role, used to love, used to be disappointed, used to worry, used to preserve that image with all the passion of a lifetime. And now, you are allowed to leave it, lightly, without regret, without resentment, only the last light smoldering in your eyes, like the evening light that has not yet faded. Tomorrow, the mirror may still be there, but you won't need it to know who you are anymore. You need no reflection, for you have become the light itself. One morning, you walk to the mirror as usual. Not to fix your hair, not to check your appearance. Just a habit left over from years of living for others. But this morning, when you look in the mirror, nothing appears. It's not the mirror that's blurry. It's not the light that's dim. It's because you're not looking for anyone anymore. You look, it's still the same eyes. It's still the same face, marked by time. But strangely, there's no longer the question, who am I? Just a light presence? No name, no past, no need for validation. Just, I am here. That's when the mirror went blank. No more holding onto images to regret. No more comparing yourself to who you used to be. No more reflecting anyone's expectations. It was empty, like a calm lake when the wind has died down, and the sun is high enough that it no longer needs to reflect itself. In alchemy, the final stage, Rebirth, is not just light. It is absolute silence after a series of profound transformations. Fulcanelli calls this the moment light becomes essence. No more phenomena, no more form, just nameless light, and a profound assimilation between the alchemist and the thing they forge. Now, you no longer reflect light, you are the light. And when the mirror has nothing left to reflect, you have nothing left to fix, to keep, to deny. You no longer need the same face. You no longer need the same youthful form. You no longer need a role to define yourself. You are the new face, a face that doesn't need a picture. Like the sun does not see itself, but thanks to it, everything is illuminated, like a stream that has no shape of its own. But wherever it flows, there is life. You, at this moment, do not need to know who you are, because you have become presence itself. You talk less, you demand less. You appear like a lamp whose smoke has gone out. Only a smoldering heat remains, and a soft light shines from your eyes. Outsiders may not notice the change, but you do. For you have gone through disintegration, Nigredo, purification, albedo, unification, citrinitas, and now perfection, rubido. No need for confirmation, no need for mirror to prove. You have cultivated the invisible face, a face that alchemists call the visage intérieur, the inner face, which only the soul can perceive. From now on, you are no longer afraid of the mirror on the wall, nor do you expect anything from it. You just need a moment to look at it, to smile softly, and whisper thank you for reflecting me in every form. But today, I don't need images anymore. I am still enough to shine on my own. It's the end of the journey, not the end, but the real beginning. Because when you stop seeing yourself in the mirror, you start seeing everything else in yourself. You look at your grandchild and see the same eyes. You walk out into the garden and see yourself in the last light of day. You sit alone and feel lonely no longer, because the light no longer needs to reflect. It just needs to be there. And you, after a lifetime of searching for yourself, finally realize there is no one to realize. There is only light. Yara, thank you for coming all the way. From the initial strangeness before the mirror to the final formless light. From reflection to presence. From the sadness of old age to the miracle of the refined soul. You are no longer just a beautiful person. You are a light that is silently shining into the world, and that light needs no one to reflect it, because it is real enough to just be there.